Hi, this is Elias with Canine Perspective. In this short video, I'm going to go over the 1900S Black Edition e-collar, just going over the things such as the basic functions of the buttons, how to turn it on and off, how to see what the power level is at, and also how to charge it. So for this, I'm just going to come up to the camera just so you guys can see everything very clearly. I'll start with the receiver and the actual collar, and then I'll move over to the remote a little more. So here we can see the collar is just a normal buckle collar, nothing special there. This is the actual box of the collar that's going to be sending the signal through these metal contact points here. Under here, this flap, it lifts up. This is where you're going to charge the collar itself. So keep in mind that the remote and the e-collar get charged independently. They both have their own independent batteries. So one can be dead and the other one can be fully charged and vice versa. So just remember to charge them both. This flap is here just to add some extra protection for dust and water, just to keep everything nice and safe. Over here, this button on the actual receiver of the collar is the power button. So what you're gonna wanna do is hold it down, and this light on the other side should turn on when you let go. Now it's on since it's flashing. Every time that you turn it on for this collar, it's going to flash blue. And every time you turn it off, it's going to flash red. So you do the same thing to turn it off, just hold the button down. So on blue, and then off red. That's not an indicator of the battery, that's just telling you if you're turning it on and off. So once you turn it on, the flashing, that's going to show you what the battery is going to be at. So blue is fully charged. Purple on this collar is going to be about 50%, and then red is going to tell you that it's about to die. So moving on to the remote, I'm going to leave the collar on because I'll show you some of the functions as well. Moving on to the remote, it's the same setup as far as the power button is here. Back here is the flap for charging. So if I pull it up, there you can see that's where you're going to charge it. Again, the flap is just to keep dust and water out. So if I go over to this side and I hold down the power button, it's going to turn on, and it does the same thing as the receiver, where when I'm turning it on, it's going to be blue, and when I'm turning it off, it's going to be red. And I both hold to turn it on and hold to turn it off. So here I'm going to turn it back on, and then the light up here, whatever color that's flashing is going to tell you the battery. So the color coding system is the same as the receiver. Blue is fully charged, purple is 50%, and red is about to die. So that's just a little bit on the battery and everything like that and charging. So the functions of the e-collar itself with the buttons and everything are going to be, this is the pager button. This is just going to send a vibration signal to the receiver, the same as a phone or anything like that. It's just vibration, there's no stimulation. So it's also going to turn on the light here. So if you're ever wondering if the collar is on or maybe what the charge is at, you can go ahead and press the pager function and it's going to vibrate, so that way you don't have to take it off and try and see what the charge is at. Most likely your dog will react to it or do something, or you can just grab your hand on the receiver while it's still on your dog and feel it that way. If you need to check the battery really quick and you don't want to wait for the blinking or anything, you can also hold this down and that's going to reflect the battery as well. So if it was at 50%, when I hold the pager button down, this should be purple. We don't use the pager function for training. It's just not the type of stimulation we want to use. So just keep that in mind, that that's kind of there, but we're not going to be going over it in training. As far as these two buttons on the side go, there's one on top that has some bumps on it in the shape of an N, and then there's a smooth one right under that. So the one on top, the bumpy one, that is the nick function, and that's going to send a quick signal of stimulation to the e-collar. That is what we're going to be using for training. So what that's going to kind of seem like, I guess, if I can illustrate that, is when I tap, that's just a fast, quick burst of the e-collar stimulation. So it's like tap, and that's how long it lasts. In comparison, the smooth button under it is the continuous function. That is something that we're not going to be using for training. That's more for emergency uses. There's a little more nuance to that. So I wouldn't worry about using that at all. That's for more specific circumstances. So the way that works is as long as I'm holding the button down, there's stimulation being sent to the e-collar. So whereas the bumpy one is tap, the continuous is tap, like it's going to keep going until I let go of the button. So that can be a lot for the dog as far as stimulation goes, and it can be kind of overwhelming. So that's why we're not really using it for training. It's just easier to control the nick function. Up top here is the level knob, and the way that works is if I'm turning it up or down, that's going to change the number that the e-collar is set to, and that's the strength of the stimulation that's going to be sent to the receiver. So it goes from here, 0, all the way up to 127. Another thing that you can use to see the battery for the e-collar as well is on the screen right here. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little battery and it has 3 blocks. So if all 3 blocks are filled, full, 2 blocks, half, 1 block, it's going to die. So that's another way that you can see the battery of the remote itself, not the e-collar. Another thing to keep in mind that can be useful, especially if you're in darker environments, is if you just tap the power button. So right now I just turned it off, but if you tap the power button, you're going to turn on the light, and once that light is on, it's going to shut off automatically after a bit of time, but every time I turn the knob, the light is going to turn back on. So that can be useful if you're going to be using the e-collar at night. Other than that, this is just extra strap. You can take this off if you like. On the back is a place to screw in the clip if that's something you're interested in. But that's pretty much it for the 1900S Black Edition. Now that we kind of know the basic functions of it, we can go ahead and use it in training, where I'll talk about more specifically the fit and everything like that.